Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. So for this project, we're going to create a yearbook design, a yearbook cover inside of Vector. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up with 10 different doodles for the yearbook cover. You could use the same doodles that you come up with. You could repeat them to fill up the whole yearbook. But we're going to go ahead and create 10 different doodles for the yearbook inside of Vector. The reason why we're going to use the Vector is so that you could actually scale up some of these designs without distorting them. If you used a program like Paint or Paint 3D and you try to make some of these images or these drawings a little bit bigger, they would actually get distorted or pixelated. And if we work inside Vector, that won't happen. So we can make these as big or as small as possible and these designs won't get distorted. So let's go ahead and get started. You can look at this example down here for the type of style that we're going to go ahead and create, but we're going to make doodles for this yearbook. You can think of different clubs or electives for some of your illustrations. So think of the different electives or clubs that we have here at school, like band, robotics, Animaker Space, Yearbook, and then also think about what type of equipment do those electives use. The instruments, some of them are working on robots, cameras, microphones. You could also think of the different weather seasons that you can illustrate, right? The different weather seasons that we have throughout the year. You could also think about what objects we use on a daily basis, the computers, the laptops, pencils, markers, paintbrushes, etc. And other ideas that you can include would be the sports. So what type of equipment would they use in those sports, the volleyballs, basketballs, baseballs, etc. And then you could also include maybe some of the different types of food, the snacks, your favorite types of food and snacks here at school. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to go into vector.com. So you could open up Edge or Chrome, go into vector.com, and we need to make the back cover, the spine, and then the front side of the cover. So we could go back here real quick. So we could take a look at the example that we have here. So let's go ahead and click on where it says Gearbook cover example. So the way that we're looking at this is if we had the cover and it was laid out including the back side of the yearbook. So this is actually the back side of the yearbook example. This is the spine, where all the pages are kind of lined up together. And then this is actually the front side of the cover. So this is the front side of the cover, the spine or the width of the yearbook, and then this is the back. So this is how we have to design it to send it over to the company to actually get ready to print. So this is a similar type of style. You don't have to do the exact same doodles. I would highly suggest that you do not do some of the doodles, but this is just kind of like the same style that we're trying to create for our school. So let's go ahead and close this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Microsoft Edge, click on login, and then go ahead and log in. If you're not able to log in, you might have to click over to the side and then click back on login. So I'll show you how to create some of these shapes here and how you can use some of these tools on the left hand side. But first we need to go ahead and set up our space that we're going to use for our cover, including the back, the spine, and then the front cover there. Alright, so let's go back home. Now I'm going to create a new project. Create a new project here. So the first thing we need is we need to set up the size of this workspace here. So I'm going to click over here where it says pages. I'm going to scroll down where it says custom size. Make sure that custom size is selected. I'm going to click on pixels. I'm going to change that to inches. Where it says 72 dpi, I'm going to change that. This shouldn't really matter because we are using vector, but we could click 300 here. So click 300. And I'm going to change the inches of this to 17. And then the height of this is going to be 11 inches. And if both these numbers are changing at the same time, you have to click off of this lock here to change the height, and then that. And then you could go ahead and lock it in. You also want to change the name of the file, so we could change the file name to yearbook cover. All right, and so let me go ahead and zoom out. So I give myself some more space by clicking on this little triangle here to give myself some more space. And then if you hold Control 0, you can back all the way out, and Control minus to back out a little bit more, and then use these sidebars here to scroll around. All right, so what I'm going to do is I could bring the text over first. So I'm going to click on where it says text. But what I could also start doing is I could break off this page here, right? So over here on the right hand side, this should be the front cover, this should be the spine here in the middle, and then this should be the back side. So what we need to do here is kind of break this off into 3 different parts. So I'm going to click on shapes, I'm going to click on rectangle, and I'm going to bring a rectangle over. So if you got rid of your settings, you can bring those back by clicking back over here on the bottom right. And I'm going to go ahead and take off the fills, click on the border check mark, and I'm just going to make this black there so I have a border. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the dimensions of this rectangle here. So I'm going to click off the lock. The width of this, I'm going to make this 8 inches. The height of this, I'm going to make it 11 inches. And then I'm going to lock it back in. And I'm going to move this around. I'm going to collapse this menu a little bit smaller. Click and drag it over. You could right click on this shape and you should be able to copy, right click, and then paste so that you don't have to do those same steps again. I'm just going to drag that over. So this will be our spine here in the middle. This will be the back of the cover. This will be the front of the cover here. And so you could click over here where it says layers, and you could hover over these 2 paths. So this is a path and this is a path, and we could lock those both in. X that out. And now you can start your designing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on text. And if you click on it and nothing shows up, again, you have to reopen your tools here. So I'm going to click on text, and you just have to click on the screen, and it allows you to start editing. So I'm just going to type in FMS. You don't have to do the same design. I'm just kind of getting started here for my design here. So clicking on the text, and then I'm just going to go ahead and expand it just a bit by grabbing the corner. And I could also scoot over. I don't have to keep closing and opening my menu. And I'm going to increase the border size of my text. So maybe, let's see what 0.5 looks like. That might be too much, maybe 0.25. I think that looks okay to me. I'm going to bring another text out. And you can change the size here of the text. Otherwise, I'm just grabbing a corner by scaling it down. I'm just going to call this Trojans. Click here and then grab a corner. I'm just going to make the same width. Again, do not do the same design as me. I'm just helping you get started here. Alright, and now you can start your doodling. You could doodle around here, or you could even doodle inside these letters. But try to come up with at least 10 different type of doodles. And you could use the pencil tool for your sketching tool. Again, because we created 2 new layers here, you could lock these in. So text layers, boom, boom, just in case you move those around by accident. But the pencil tool isn't the greatest. If you click, right, it's really sensitive. So you can see these little jagged marks. So you could use the pencil tool for a sketch, but I don't recommend that. You can look up examples of doodles, but again, don't copy any examples that you see. You could do something similar, get some ideas or get some inspiration, but do not copy any of the examples that you see. So you can think of some of the projects, like I said, you can think of some of the projects that you've created in this class. You could use some of the shapes here, so we could come up with an illustration of a robot. As far as color goes, you could have your designs, just try to make your designs in one color. Again, the reason why we're using vector as well is that we could scale up some of these designs. So when I say one color, it's either black or white, or you could have it just one color, and then I might have to change those colors eventually for the final draft of your cover. So let me help you get started here with some of these sketches. So I could use this square here. I could create a border. Let's go ahead and I'm going to increase that size of that border, maybe to 2. I'm going to turn off the fill here. I'm going to change the color, maybe to black. I'm also going to maybe make this a little bit smaller, maybe as a 1. And I'm just going to recreate maybe one of the robots that we made. And again, you could use the shapes. You can use the doodle tool if you feel comfortable with that. And I'm going to show you this pen tool here in a little while. So you could zoom in by hitting Control plus to zoom in. You could use this zoom in button over here. I'm gonna grab a circle. In this program, you don't have to hold down Shift to scale down. You can just grab a corner. And I'm just gonna make the fill of this. Now this is a fill, I'm not doing the outline of this one. I'm just gonna make it black. This is gonna be the eye of one of the robots that we made. You could do Control C and Control V, or you could right click, copy, right click, paste. Right, and then we had a robot. I'm gonna go back over here. So don't use shapes for everything. You want to try to hand draw and then use the pen tool as well. You could click on it and then move the arrow keys, or move the shape using the arrow keys. Again, I'm gonna fill this in using just a black. And then our robots had an antenna on the top, so you could also include the antenna. It had a light bulb on top. All right, so you could select the shapes and move them around if you need to, and place them. And you can also repeat some of the shapes that you made. Right, since we only made 10, I could copy this, and then paste, and then maybe even use the same design on the back side. If your screen kind of goes off of focus from your design, you can hold down Control 0 and that'll put you back in focus. And then you can just grab a corner and scale up your design if you want to reuse it, right? Because we're only making 10 of these. So this is a yearbook, right? This is the whole year all together. At the end of the year, some of us do graduate. So what you could do is I'm going to use this pen tool here. And the way to use this pen tool is you click, you let go, and then you click and let go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. I'm going to let go. I'm going to make a graduation hat. I'm going to click and let go, click and let go, and then click and let go. I'm just making the top of a graduation hat. So you have to, when you're making a shape here using the pen tool, you have to go back to where you started. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring this back. I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to make this black. Okay, and then you could draw the bottom part of this hat here. So I can go back to my pen tool, and before that I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, so Control plus, and scoot over. I'm going to draw the bottom part of this hat here, so I'm going to click and let go, click and let go, and then this actually helps you create curves. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm not just going to click and let go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click, hold my click, and I'm going to stretch out this anchor. These are called anchors here, and then I'm going to let go. This tool helps you create curves, straight, clean curves, as opposed to that pencil tool, right? That pencil tool was really jagged, it was really sensitive, whereas this one is not. So I'm going to click, and I'm dragging, or I'm pulling out from the center of this middle square here to create this curve. You could always go back and edit this, and then I'm letting go. And then we can fix this here because it's not a straight edge or a straight corner like that one. So I'm going to click back over here. And then I need to go back to where I started to close this shape. So in order to edit this, I'm going to double click on this corner, and I'm just going to click and drag these two anchors closer together, bring them towards the center, and that's going to straighten out the edge. You can also move these around if you need to. All right, and then I can fill this in. Alright, so this is a quick way to make a graduation hat. I'm going to bring out my menu, and then I'm going to fill this in, make it black, and then click off. Right, and then you can make a tassel, right? Those little things that hang off of some of your graduation hats. Alright, so that's a second doodle. Let me show you another way that we could use the pen tool as well. And like I said, you could also copy these and reuse them, scale them up, scale them down to fill out this whole part of the yearbook. So you could copy. I'm going to use Control 0 and then Control paste, Control V. And then in order to rotate some of these shapes, what you could do is you could go over here to the right hand side with your menu open, and you can increase the rotation of your designs. You could also just throw numbers in here. So you could do a 30 degree, and then you could scale these up, scale them down, change the rotation of these. So again, that's a good reason why we are using vector, because it doesn't distort your images, it doesn't distort your designs. If we're doing this inside of Paint or Paint 3D, what that would do is actually pixelate some of the images, whereas these we can make them as big or as small as we want, and it won't distort the images. So that's why we're using vector. You could also use maybe some different types of plants, or maybe some of the trees that we have around campus. So you could use the pen tool, you could zoom back in, Control plus. I can make a maple leaf, so I'm going to use the pen tool just so I can show you how to keep using it. So I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click where I want to finish this curve, and then I'm going to just drag my mouse. So I haven't let go yet. I'm just clicking and dragging and moving away from this little square here to create a curve. So this is going to be the curve of the inside of my leaf. So then I would just hit escape, and that's going to end that curve there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to try to make a maple leaf. You can make any type of flower or plant that you see from around school if you want. I'm just going to make a maple leaf. I'm going to make the end of this maple leaf, so I'm going to click. You could hit Control Z to undo if you make a mistake, and then escape to end your curve. There's also an undo button here if you need to do that, if you have your menu open by chance. And now I'm going to keep going with these curves here. This is going to be the inside of my maple leaf. And then you could do Control C, Control V. And then Control C, Control V. And I'm going to show you how to flip the rotation, so you could flip horizontally to move it over to the other side. If you want to move a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, I'm going to copy this one, Control C, Control V. And there's the inside, and now I'm just going to follow the outline or the edges of these leaves here with my pen tool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the pen tool. I'm going to start the outer part of the leaf here. So I'm going to click over here towards the end, maybe a little bit over here. I'm going to click and hit escape. Click back on the pen tool, pick up where I left off, move in a little bit. I'm going to click and drag my mouse to create a little curve. And then I'm going to hit escape, click on the pen tool, pick up where I left off. I'm going to click over here, click and drag my mouse. I'm going to hit escape to create a straight edge. Click back on my pen tool. I'm going to click over here, drag, hit escape, click back on my pen tool, clicking where I left off, and then I'm going to start rounding out the end of my leaf here. And then I want a straight edge or a sharp corner, so I'm going to hit escape, click back on the pen tool. Looks like the fast way to do this would be just tapping the letter V, clicking where I left off. I'm going to create a curve on this side, so I'm going to click and drag my mouse out, and then I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to hit V, just the letter V, to bring my pen tool back up. I'm going to click, curve a little bit, hit escape, click on V, click back, create a curve on this side, hit escape, hit the letter V, click, drag out from the center there, hit escape, tap the letter V, click, and then you finished your leaf. So you could always make adjustments, and then the way you would edit it would just hit escape. So you can make adjustments by clicking. Maybe you want this leaf to go a little bit lower, maybe this part to go a little bit lower as well because you moved that part. Right, so then you can always zoom in if you need to be a little bit more accurate. So zooming in, double clicking to bring this point to that other part there, and to merge those a little bit closer, right? So you would do the same thing here. There's some gaps in some of these doodles here. And if you want to duplicate the leaf, you could select it, Control C, Control V, maybe bring it over to the back. If you hover over near a corner, this little rotation tool, that's another way to rotate. And you could duplicate those leaves too if you want. So you could also bring some more of the leaves in the front. Again, you want to try to cover up as much space as possible. So let's say you're not done with your design yet. This website does save automatically. Just make sure that you are signed in before you start your doodles, otherwise it's going to create a fake account. So let's say that you're done, you have your 10 doodles on the front or all over the yearbook cover, and you're ready to send this to me. You could hit export. We're going to save it as an SVG, and then we're just going to download it. You're going to click on download. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to click down here to my file explorer, and I'm going to click on downloads, and there's the file there. You can click on it, and it's going to open up inside of Edge. You can hold down Control- to view the whole design. Maybe this is just a draft and you want to look at it a little bit later. You could always download these as you go along. But now we need to download this. But now we want to make sure that this is saved inside of a folder for the yearbook cover so that it's a little bit more organized when you work on your sway. So let's click back on your file explorer. We can leave this window open. Move that over to the side. You can hit Control N to open a new file explorer window. I'm gonna go over here to my documents page. So go to wherever you have your documents saved for this semester. I'm gonna click on the academic year we're currently in, the period that you have my class, the semester we're currently in, and I'm gonna make a new folder for the yearbook cover. I'm gonna click on that, go ahead and open that, and then you could drag these over. Let's say you do a bunch of these on different days. You could always add the date that you've been working on this. So today's date that I've been working on it is the 12th. So this would be the file that you upload inside of Teams. So you would go back to Teams, find the assignment for the yearbook cover, and go ahead and attach this inside of the assignment. So if you have any questions of how to create a doodle, how to use the different tools inside of a vector, if you're having trouble using the pen tools or the anchors inside of a vector, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.